Hi friends, it's Carrie from Stretch TV, and this is our live Saturday Q&A. Now today I have a really interesting question that came from someone on Facebook. So this is the question, and I love this question because there's so much to it. I can't wait to dive in. So it says, Carrie, what is a good resistance stretch for the back? It's pretty broad, but then it gets deeper. The upper back and neck. Mine has always been tight. My doctor recommended hanging from a chin-up bar, and it does work if you do it every day. However, I feel this is a static stretch and doesn't make any permanent changes to the muscles or fascia. Appreciate your thoughts. Thank you. So that's, whoa, like there's a lot in that question. Now, first off, to hang from a chin-up bar, like hanging like this, stretches your lats. So that's going to stretch the whole torso here, but it's not going to stretch your neck at all or your upper back. And the reason why is because you're in a short position when your arms are up like that. So my first concern is like, what doctor thinks that hanging from a chin-up bar is actually going to stretch your neck and your upper back? What it might do is give you some traction, but even then, like, you're not hanging from your head. Your spine's not really involved. I mean, gravity is pulling you from your legs and kind of like straightening out your spine a little bit just from gravity. But if you think about it, let's grab Jeff here. If we take Jeff and get his arms up like this, all the pressure here is coming into the shoulder here, and it's strengthening and stretching through this part here because the muscles are being pulled like this, right, to keep your shoulder in place. What that would do is contract all of these muscles through here and give you the feeling of like a dull pain or a cramp in that area, but it's not going to stretch your spine or your neck at all, like zero stretch there. So that's, first off, maybe you should talk to a different type of doctor about your back pain, right? Not everybody knows about muscles, and I'm pretty sure that, even in personal training certifications, the stretching portion of the training is actually very small. So, and I've even talked to like Pilates instructors and stuff, and they're like, we don't really learn about stretching. It's not something that's covered that often because there hasn't been that much science about how stretching works, how the muscles work together, and like the neuromuscular work hasn't been long-standing. It's more like recent that we're learning about this. It's kind of like, we know that outer space exists, and we've been to the moon, and we've sent out things, telescopes and whatever, but like we're just now getting into the nitty-gritty of like Mars, right? We knew that Mars was there, and we knew all the stuff about it, but like, did we really know? Did we put things on the ground? Like, that's kind of what's going on in the world of muscle work too, is that it's still kind of the bottom of the ocean, Sorry, I want to make sure that my sound is working properly. I hope you guys can all hear me, and I would love to hear from you when you all log in. So let's dive into how we can actually stretch these muscles and what's actually going on within the body. And then the other question is, it feels like a static stretch, and while it does work for a while, it doesn't work long term. So we can talk a little bit about what that means too. Okay, so yay. First, let's just get into how to stretch, right? Let's just get into that, like what's the best stretch for this muscle group, and then I'll dive into the science. Also, for those of you who are watching live, I know that it's early in the morning, and I know that, this is new, this whole live thing for me, so a lot of you don't know that this is happening. So if you got a notification that I'm live and you're jumping in after the fact, if you're watching this and it's not live, go ahead and stream ahead to live if you want to ask a question, okay? Because I will not get your question if you put the question in after the fact or later. I'll get it like as a notification, like you would get like a comment on a post or something. I'll get it later. Okay, I won't get it now. So stream ahead to live to leave your comment now. Also, if you're on YouTube, you do have to be a subscriber to leave me a comment. That's so that we don't get trolls and stuff. So just go ahead and click that subscribe button, and it's down in the corner over here. Or if you go down below next to my name, there's a little in red letters, subscribe. Actually, you should do that anyway. And for those of you on Facebook too, like my page. And the reason why is because I really want to get the word out and this technique out about resistance stretching because it is really amazing. This is information that the world needs to know, and a lot of people don't. A lot of people have like kind of old thoughts about how stretching works or how their bodies and their muscles work and how to fix it. And there actually is better ways, more efficient, and it's not difficult and it doesn't hurt. So let people know by subscribing to the channel, because then what happens is YouTube's algorithm finds other people like you to show the videos to. Okay, so the best thing you can do, like you don't have to go tell in the world. I mean, you could, it'd be awesome. But if you just subscribe to the channel, that is great enough, and it helps with this mission to really be a great healing teacher for the world. That's what I want to do. Okay, so click that subscribe button or the link to follow. Okay, and then of course ask me questions as we go, because I am here for you guys, and I just want to help you out. Now also, resistance stretching is one of those funny things where like people watch and they say I should do this, or the stretching in general, I should do this, and it is what it is. But I want to let you guys know that if you're just watching to get information, that's okay. Don't beat yourself up about not stretching, because I will be here when you're ready. Okay, so just keep watching, keep exploring, keep learning, and when you're ready to really dive into the stretches, I'm here, and there's tons of information for you on my channel. All right, so let's talk about the neck stretches. So based off of the lat idea, if you're hanging like this, right, you're hanging from the bar, we're stretching, doing a resistance stretch because you're fighting gravity, like you're trying not to dislocate your shoulders and pull your arms off of your body, right? So you're actually doing a resistance stretch for your lats, which is a beautiful thing. But if you're just hanging there and relaxing, then it's it can actually overstretch the muscles. And when I say overstretch, I mean it, like you're holding. There's a law in physics called Hooke's law, and if you take a spring and you put a weight on it, then that spring will drop down according to the heaviness of the weight, and then it'll stop. But if you let it sit there for a long time, the weight will continue to win, and it'll keep stretching and stretching and stretching. So there's this original drop, right, where there's energy in the spring still. And then from here to here, there's a moment of, well, there's a long-term effect of the muscle or the spring stretching and stretching and stretching more than it has energy to bounce back. So then what happens at this point is that if you take the weight off, then it takes a while for that spring to creep back to where it was before. Now, the reason why this is important is because the paradigm shift we need to have about stretching is people think they need that extra long leg, and that it's good if their muscles just gradually creep back up. But the reality of that is that your muscles are actually holding your body in place. Your muscles are like your armor. Your muscles are the springs that hold everything together, that keep you moving, that keep you from like spraining things or breaking things or dislocations, like all of that stuff. Like muscles are very important, and the springiness, the energy in the spring of the muscle is very important for your stability and security, right? If you don't have that spring, then your body doesn't feel safe, and then it starts creating compensation patterns, or it starts creating pain, phantom pain, or like tight pain, tightness, locked up things, knots, that sort of thing, to make sure that you actually don't hurt yourself, right? And the only reason why you would hurt yourself is because your muscles are not able to hold you in place, because they're in that like the creep stage. They're still like trying to come back to the springiness. Now, a tight muscle is a really tight spring. So the spring in a tight muscle is like the spring on lawn chairs, right? Like they're not meant to be really bouncy, right? Or like the spring in a mattress, or the spring in your car, like a shock absorber, right? It's not supposed to be a big spring, right? But you can stretch that with resistance stretching to get a bigger spring with the energy in it, so that it can stretch and contract to a big range. But when you static stretch and you hold that stretch, and then you continue to hold this stretch and continue stretching the muscle out, then that energy is lost, and you might have a long spring, but it doesn't bounce back. Okay, so we want that big elasticity. Really, flexibility has everything to do with the ability for those springs, or the springs in your muscles, which is really scientific, but I won't get into that today. Really short and really long, getting that big distance, right? But if you have a short spring, tight spring, you got like this kind of range, right? And so we want to make sure that we have that, like the big range of the spring. It doesn't help you to have a long spring that can't bounce back, okay? So that being said, that's kind of what the static stretch is if you're holding the chin-up bar for a long time and getting some relief, but mostly that relief is because you're taking the muscles in your neck and taking the pressure off of them, off of the stretch in your neck and your back, right? Because they're contracting. So it's taking any tension out of there for the short term, but it's not actually fixing the problem. So we can actually fix the problem. So let's do that. Now there are a couple different ways that we can access these muscles, and it really depends on where you're tight. So I'm going to start off with the deltoids and elevators. And the reason why is because they're balanced out by the lats. So if you're hanging from your lats and you're getting a little relief, it could be because these are the muscles that are tight, okay? What I've noticed is that overstretched lats will keep you from actually being able to fold down because they're not springing back. So you're not able to fold down with your shoulder in this way, kind of like walk around like this all the time, or you feel like you can't quite put your arms down. And what that basically if you did, like those muscles would like cramp up. It wouldn't fold properly, it wouldn't feel good. And so instead what your body does to compensate for that is it tightens up through here, through your neck and shoulders, to pull you up so that you can't put your arm down, right? It's a protective mechanism. So the tightness is here. It's a protective mechanism to make sure that you don't do this. But ideally we want to do that. So we have some things to work on, right? So let's work on stretching the top here, the top of our shoulders. This is such an easy stretch for our deltoids. What you're going to do is bring one arm into the side of your body just like this. So my arm is bent at this 90-degree angle, and I'm just going to put my other hand where my watch would be, like right on my wrist. And then I'm going to resist between the two. So resistance stretching is cool because you actually are engaging your muscles, you're building strength too. This is really great. And stretching the muscles like deep from the belly of the muscle. So I'm going to push up, and this is a strength training move. So the muscles are short here. And then I'm going to use my top arm here. This is my right arm, and my left arm is up in the air. And I'm just going to stretch it by bringing it down. And when I get to the bottom, I also want to stretch my neck. So I'm going to reach my head over to my right. If you're mirroring me, it would be your left, you know? So you just come up and down just like this. Up for strength and down for stretch, and your head to the side. Now this is going to stretch your neck and shoulders all the way up through here, okay? And that's a lot of times where people are having the pain. So we just go back and forth like this, okay? And you want to do about 6 to 10 of them. You can move at your own pace. You don't have to use a lot of resistance. So that's another thing that people get confused about. And there are some resistance stretching techniques out there that tell you to use a lot of resistance, and I don't think that works very well. So just be aware that it doesn't have to be a ton of resistance. It should just be like a little bit of effort. Notice that I'm able to talk to you. It's like, it feels like if I was lifting a soup can. Like it's a small amount of weight. It's not a lot of weight, okay? And then let's do the other side too, just to stay balanced. So this is my right arm. It might be yours left if you're mirroring me. And just bring it in close to the side of your body. So you're tucking your elbow in like this, okay? And then from here, you just push up for strength and then come down for your stretch. And you're resisting both ways the whole time. So I'm trying to push my arms apart the whole time. When I get to the bottom, I bring my ear over to the opposite side. So this is my right arm. I'm leaning over to my left ear. Okay, so up for strength and down for stretch. And your head to the side. And again, about 6 to 10 is fine. If there's any pain or discomfort, it's not worth doing. Okay, so just don't do it if it hurts. Not worth it. It's not worth it at all. And we just go up and down. It's really simple. And then what you should feel in this stretch is some burn in the top of your shoulder here. That means that the muscle's working. So you just feel like there's a stretch, like a good productive stretch deep in the belly of the muscle. And then when you come to the side here, there's a fascia stretch that happens right from your ear, kind of the base of your skull, right around your ear, down to the shoulder here. Okay, so you just go back and forth like that. And so this is going to get that neck stretch. up here. Now what we've done here is we've removed all of this tension in your neck now. So when you are hanging from that pull-up bar like this, these muscles are actually allowed to shorten. And that will give you the permission to stretch the lats here. Okay, but again, that's a static stretch. And we don't necessarily want that static stretch because we don't want the long, like loose feeling of the muscle. We want it to feel more springy, right? One example I give a lot is like if you have an elastic pants, like sweatpants, and you held your elastic pants for a really long time, and that elastic band lost its elasticity, then your pants don't stay up anymore. And that defeats the purpose of pants, right? It's not that you want it to be completely stretched out. You just want it to have some give, right? You just don't want it to be like super tight all the time. You want it to be able to stretch out, but you also want it to be able to contract in at the right place so that your pants stay up. You do not want your pants to fall down, right? Like that's, and the same thing with your muscles. Like you don't want your muscles to fail you when you need them. Okay, so that's why resistance stretching is so important and why it's so much more effective than static stretching. Because with static stretching, you don't actually get the permanent gains. You have to keep doing it. You have to do it all the time. And I mean, this is a huge paradigm shift. And I have to tell you guys, like, it's an amazing thing. People are like, how often do you stretch? And like, I honestly only stretch when I have done something stupid and feel like I'm in pain, which is usually like, you know, I slept in a stupid way, or I did some crazy workout, or I like tripped on the stairs or something, like when my body gets out of whack, or I stretch here to film videos. That's really it, because my body's really balanced now. I've done all the work. I've removed all the barriers. There's nothing left. There's no problems. Now, in the beginning, I had plenty of problems, but now I don't feel those problems anymore. And when your body becomes balanced too, you will not need to do these stretches every day for the rest of your life. It really doesn't have to be that way. I mean, some people love to go to yoga every day. There are people who like yoga is not their thing, but they think if they go every day, they're going to get benefits. And they might, because they're getting that creep effect, right? That muscles are getting stretched out and they feel really loosey-goosey, right? But then over the course of the day or 2 days, they go back to where they were before. So you have to go back to yoga. And I mean, I can't tell you enough, like, I know a lot of people who do hot yoga or like the Bikram. I don't know if it's even called Bikram anymore, but a lot of people who do it and love it, but they go 5 days a week. And if you have to go to do something 5 days a week to get results for stretching, it's not worth it. So you have to, it's not working. I mean, it's not that it's just not worth it. It's not working if you have to go every day, right? And if you lose your gains after doing it, it's not working. So that being said, like, it's okay for like, if you're running a marathon or something, like you do the training, but like, your body is not made to run 26 miles, right? So you do your conditioning and training, and then you lose that endurance. You have to start the training all over again. Stretching isn't like that. You don't lose your gains once you've balanced your body out. You don't. It stays the same. Like, I had never been able to touch my toes my whole life until I started doing resistance stretching. One day I bent over and put my palms on the floor, and I've been able to do it ever since. Okay, and I don't spend all this time stretching my hamstrings or making sure that I'm limber. I don't do it. Now, if you're going to yoga for a different reason, like if you're going for spiritual aspects or to calm your mind or to activate your parasympathetic nervous system, that's fantastic. Keep doing it. But if you're going to yoga to gain flexibility and you have to go every day, there may be a middle ground that you need. There may be something in between. I think resistance stretching is the answer. Of course, I'm a little biased. So anyway, that being said, let's go on to our next stretch, which is a lat stretch. So I'm going to bring up my left arm. If you're mirroring me, it'd be your right arm. Grab your elbow with your opposite hand, and you're going to resist like you're trying to pull both arms apart. Now, this is going to activate those same muscles that you would be using if you were hanging from a chin-up bar, right? So you just grab here and you resist like you're trying to pull your arms down. It's this same motion, right? And then you're just going to pull towards your opposite knee. So this is pulling my shoulder here away from my hip here. So I'm getting a nice resistance stretch through my torso, through the side of my body. Now you notice, you'll feel this stretch in the side of your body, which is funny because if your doctor is telling you to hang from a chin-up bar to stretch out your back and your neck, you can see how that stretch doesn't affect the back or the neck at all. It's not, it's here, right? So, I mean, I just don't, there are more steps than hanging from a chin-up bar, especially to stretch out your neck and back, upper back. Doesn't make any sense to me. If anybody out there is a physical therapist or a doctor and has an explanation for that, please let me know, because I'm a little baffled. It doesn't make sense to me. And I would love to hear if there is a reasoning behind it, if like what the explanation is for that. I'd love to hear it. Okay, let's do the other side. So this is my right arm. If you're mirroring me, it'd be your left arm. Grab your elbow with your opposite hand, resist like you're trying to pull both arms apart, and then pull towards your opposite knee. So I'm pulling my right elbow to my right knee. Now I'm sitting on my knees because I like this feeling, but you could sit crisscross legged. You could sit in a chair to do this stretch. You don't have to sit this way. I know a lot of people are tight in their quads and have some restrictions in their knees. So I actually have lots of videos about that. There's one specifically that I just did maybe last month, or it would have been probably in January. It would have been in January of 2022. If you're watching this later, it's called How to Sit on Your Knees. It's the whole video is about that. So it's a good one. So now we've stretched out the top here and also the bottom here. Okay, now there are other stretches that we can do to balance this out as well. So your body is like a pulley system, okay? So if there's a pulley, you've got these muscles here that we stretched first, and we've got these muscles here. So when these muscles are getting long, these muscles are shortening. And when these muscles are getting long, these muscles are shortening. So it's kind of this like pulley system, okay, just like this. Well, at the same time that we're shortening these guys and stretching these guys, these muscles are coming across, and if they're tight, they can kind of interfere. So you get this, like you're trying to stretch, but you're getting in the way. And this would be like a rotator cuff issue. Sometimes it's a compensation pattern where your brain's actually sending a signal to those muscles in the back. And so as you're trying to stretch here, you're getting like a little interference, like your brain saying, oh no, I think I can do it this way. And it's kind of an inefficient way to activate those muscles. So resistance stretching is great also because if you feel that in your mid back or in your upper back or your neck when we're doing this stretch, you know that there's a problem and we can fix that. Okay, so let's stretch out our rhomboids too. So bring your hands together like this and just bring them over your head. Your thumbs will hover over the crown of your head about an inch or so. And then you're just gonna squeeze your elbows together. And they might not squeeze all the way. Like it might be kind of like here, that'd be okay. Just move in the range that feels good to you, all right? You just wanna make sure that your elbows stay up at about the range of your nose up here. And don't let them drop down, okay? Because then you'll grab different muscles. I'm gonna make sure we get the right ones. So this stretch, you should feel in the back of your shoulders, like around your shoulder blades. I've noticed that it feels really good if I also kind of tuck my chin and lengthen the top of my head, like it's where my ponytail is. I'm like trying to pull my ponytail up towards the ceiling. And that also helps. All right, and there's one more that I want to do. And this one is a really easy one that you can do just on the floor here. I've got my hands right under my shoulders, like I'm on all fours. And I'm gonna push with my arms, excuse me, I'm gonna push with my arms into the mat and then just sit back. And as I do that, I'm pulling my head through and that stretches out the front of my shoulder. I might get an adjustment. This is not always, my shoulder will just get a little pop sometimes. Oh, but not today apparently. So you just go back and forth like this. I'm pushing with my arms. So that's my resistance stretch. I'm engaging the muscles in the front of my shoulders. And just going back and forth just like this. I'm just gonna try. Because I want my shoulder to adjust. Yeah, it's better now. Okay, good. Good. Just a few back and forth, just like this. And then after this stretch, We'll go back to the neck and shoulders and see if we can get a little bit more relief here, okay? So you just bring your elbow into the side just like this, just like we started, okay? And then your hand on top of your wrist, you push up for strength and down for stretch. Bring your head to the opposite side. And that should be a deeper stretch through the neck and shoulders. Now, once I'm here, I really, especially after I've done all my problem solving, if the stretch feels good, I'll actually nod my head a little bit. So I go into the stretch, my elbow's down as far as it wants to go. I've tilted my head to the side, and then I'm just gonna say yes with my head. Really nice and gentle, but it kind of wraps around all these muscles. You can probably see them in my neck. I don't know how good this camera is, but if you can see they kind of wrap around. It's really lovely stretch. Okay, and then let's try the other side. So you just go up for strength and down for stretch. Bring your head to the side and just give it a nod. Say yes. That's a really lovely one. Really, really good. And so there's effort to this, of course, and it's not as easy as just hanging from a bar. But you could do this like just a couple times this week, and the pain may be gone like forever, right? So you can hang from a chin-up bar every day for the rest of your life, or you can do resistance stretching and actually fix the problem, which would be fantastic, right? I that's what I want for you guys. Like, I want you to be able to heal yourself. And if I can help you do that, that's the ticket, right, my friends? Yeah, I mean, it's so important. So I think that is kind of the basis. Now, I'd be really interested to see, and I'll check in with the guy who sent me that note, if these are the stretches that worked. Now, if they're not, we will attack some of the stretches from some other angles, because this is like getting here and in your rhomboids, but we also like the muscles from your traps and the muscles back here, okay? But my guess is that it's coming from this place. So let's keep our fingers crossed and hope for the best. All right, my friends. So my time is up, and I really thank you for yours. Thank you for being here. Just a little friendly reminder that the best thing you can do to help me spread the word about resistance stretching is to subscribe to the channel. If you're already a subscriber and you'd love to help me spread the word, then tell your friends about it, okay? All right, friends, that's it. Thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you next Saturday at 9 a.m. Central. Bye-bye.